Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in with us for another episode of the RetroAchievements podcast, where we cover a variety of genres, topics, and discuss the bits and bytes of yesteryear. Though I say it nearly every episode, I continue to make it a point that our player base and contributors grow day by day, month by month. Each new feature or accessibility implementation that improves the quality of life for players and developers alike bring them in ever-growing droves. It is no easy task to undertake the responsibility that is implementing sweeping upgrades for such a beloved community. You need to pilot with focus, solid judgment, and a can-do skill set that balances both community input and a grand vision for the entire ship. We last spoke to my guest while we were just on the cusp of Dolphin, and in those 3 years, challenges have been overcome, as well as fresh ideas born and raised. Begs the question, what does the future hold for RetroAchievements? For exactly that reason, I have my guest here tonight, Wes Copeland, to dive in on where we were, how far we've come, and what the captain himself sees on the horizon for our future. Much like a State of the Union address, this is RetroAchievements State of RA. Wes, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks again for having me. We've come a long way since last we chatted.
Absolutely. It's kind of a crazy little bit of timing. At the time I record, we're just a handful of days post Wii launch. And to think that we were just staring down the barrel of the Dolphin last time we talked, that's, wow, time flies.
Yeah, I mean, we've shipped so many major features since, like, between now and then. Like, not just the Dolphin stuff, but, like, multi-set is out now. There are people saying that was never going to come out. Now it's just yet another thing that's taken for granted. Yeah, I mean, there's so much that we've gotten done.
With all these new people coming in, especially for Wii, and just to be already given default multi-set, you have no idea. Any new listeners, you have no idea. It was the grand never ever. You know, it was the thing that you never thought you would get to over the horizon. Suddenly it's in your hand and you're like, holy shit, what do I do now? Have we seen a lot of adoption with that? Are people seeing more playthroughs of subsets, having, already getting some achievements for them? Are we seeing people complete them a little bit more, or are they just kind of a bonus?
Oh yeah, I mean, for any popular game, now that you can access the subset achievement list so easily, you can just open any of them, even for the Wii. The Wii's a good example. Like for Super Mario Galaxy, just look at some of the coin collector subset unlocks, and you'll see like they're fairly spurious, and that's exactly what I wanted to design. Like, you'll see an unlock here, an unlock there. Nobody, for those bonus subsets, no one's really playing them mostly. I shouldn't say no one. Most people aren't really playing them with the intention of mastering them. It's just like, hey, these achievements are here, and I got an unlock, and that's cool.
Right, a little extra gravy or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to see. I also found out recently on the FVG podcast Sunday, they did the Wii badge reveal, that this is one of the launches where you guys said, hey, make sure you have the main set taken care of before you start doing subset stuff. And I think that allowed for a lot of better end user result, just because you're not standing around waiting for the game, and the people who did get it done ahead of time go ahead and go nuts on those subsets,
Yeah, no, I think the rollout team, they did a really, really good job this time around. Like, one of the things that, I really wanted to sort of drive home with them, and for future rollouts too, is like, every rollout, I feel like mistakes are going to be made, and we're going to learn a bunch of things. And the most important thing is like, all right, take everything that went sideways during the GameCube rollout, and like, what did we learn? And what went well, what went not well, and how do we smooth it over for the Wii? And I mean, they did a really good job.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic experience. I think there has been nothing but positivity from at least what I've seen.
Yeah.
People enjoying, some esoteric games they've never heard of, the old classics like Galaxy, they're everywhere in between. You're even seeing people going back and playing games they've already played 3 times on previous consoles, but hey, that's what they're doing.
Oh man, just turning it on was, because I was so convinced, because we made so many server upgrades since we did the GameCube launch. Like, we're on a way beefier server. We have twice as much CPU. No, we have more than twice as much CPU.
Ooh.
Not only that, so there's really 2 ways to optimize any system, right? You can either do less work or you can do the same work faster. That's how you optimize any system. And we've done that, both of those things, to basically every back-end major routine that we have. Everything that touches the back-end has been ridiculously optimized to the point that, like, on some of the things that emulators touch, I'm trying to just shave off a few milliseconds here and there. Because some of those things are called so often. I calculated one of those routines, like if I shaved off like 10 milliseconds, it'd save something like 10 hours of server compute every month. Like things like that I'm trying to optimize. And so we've done that. And I was so sure, man, this is gonna be great. Nothing bad is gonna happen. Nothing's gonna go sideways. There will be no crash. Everything's gonna be fine. Technically it didn't crash, but man, I was staring down, the hour before the rollout started, I had like my whole command center thing going where I'm looking at like the CPU and the RAM. Man, everything was fine. And then 5 minutes, right at 5:10, I don't know what happened, but CPU instantly spiked from 70% to 100%. Just like that.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this is bad. So the night before, and Scott will tell you, I prepared this entire document of, all right, guys, I've got 4 emergency breakers that I could flip based on how CPU's doing. If it hits 80%, I'm gonna do this. If it hits 85, I'm gonna do this. If it hits 90,
going right to DEF CON.
Dude, I instantly had to do all of them. And even that didn't help. So, I'm sure you saw the page that said, oh, the site is down right now.
So I thought that was a very clever implementation. I was just calling it the oh shit page. Instead of having a raw crash, there was at least something that's like, hey, we get it, we're under load, hey, hold your horses.
So here's a secret. That was the 4th breaker. That was what I was supposed to flip if it got to 100%, and I didn't even test it because I didn't think it was going to get that bad. So I immediately had to turn it on, and I was like, oh my god, so during the day, we had this whole plan of how, all right, guys, every 5 minutes, 10 people are going to publish their sets, or 10 sets are going to be published. And I was like, oh man, that's genius, because now, rather than the back end getting this huge spike of load,
one big dose, it's staggered.
We're just going to distribute it evenly, and everything's going to be great, over the course of, 90 minutes. And I thought that was a 200 IQ play.
Mm-hmm.
No. So, as soon as the site went down, as soon as I had to throw up that maintenance page, so one thing I also designed was I gave developers, hey, just go to this URL, and it will put a cookie in your browser, and if you have that cookie, you can get past the page and do your work.
Okay.
That wasn't tested either. I didn't even know if it'd work.
Oh, no.
No, that saved the whole rollout. So I blasted it out I did an all developer ping, hey, hit this URL, and then I was like, oh man, while this page is up and, the general public's hitting this page, our CPU actually dropped all the way down to 30%, and I was like, man, I've got to make a judgment call. Everybody publish everything right now.
Oh.
And
what was our spikes looking at that time?
It went from 30 to 70, which...
Not bad.
I was right, though, that if we had done it all at once, it would have indeed crashed the server. So,
right.
it was correct to want to distribute it. Because if you're at 70%, you can't add 40 to that.
Yeah, you're gonna full throttle.
Yeah, you're just gonna, you can't do it. But I was like, man, we're at 30. Yeah, everyone just do everything right now, and then people can play. We shouldn't even wait. And so I sent out another urgent ping, and then, man, I just watched the CPU and the back end, and it was just bang, bang, bang. So many people publishing everything. And I was able to see the player count the whole time that was happening. And even though the site was down, we were basically at an all-time high. It was a wild battle story. I'll be able to tell that one for a while.
So about how long did we stay in limbo before that page came down?
I tried to pull that page down 3 or 4 times. Because I was like, really what's happening is there's just so many people hitting the site. Like, the requests are really fast. There's just so many requests per second.
Right.
I looked at it too. It was like 1,000 requests a second were hitting the site.
Wow.
It's so many that, like, even if everything is fast, we literally can't keep up.
It's just the simultaneous load.
Yeah. We just can't keep up. Like, we can't spin up enough processes on the server to be able to do that. And so what would happen was we were able to spin up a maximum of 500 PHP processes in the back end. All right, if each process, takes, I don't know, a second to finish, I'm just throwing, napkin math. Yeah, napkin math out here. All right, if they each take a second to finish and you're getting 1,000 a second coming in, that means they will literally never all finish, and the server will just lock, and that's exactly what happened. So I was like, well, how am I going to get around this problem? So I tried a few things. After about half an hour, I was like, all right, well, let's just see what happens if I take the page down. Man, that was a bad idea. That was a real bad idea. So it choked within about 20 seconds. I was like, oh crap. So I had to put it back up. And what's wild is each time I put it back up, CPU would go back down to about 40%. And I was like, all right, well, how about I do this? How about I wait like half an hour? And I'll sneakily, just turn it back on. And so I waited, another half hour. So by this time, about an hour had passed that the page had been up. And so I take the page down again, turn the site on again, and bang, CPU instantly goes to about 100%. And like somebody is asking me, hey, should you announce that the site is up? And I said, absolutely do not announce that.
Dude, you jackass.
No.
I was playing it cool.
Yeah, do not. They meant well. They meant well.
Right.
I said, absolutely do not announce that. And so I had to pull it down again. And so I was like, the real problem is there are people on the site just hammering the refresh button on their keyboard. And if I could just filter those people out, everything would be fine. And so I started thinking, all right, well, do I have the means to actually do that? Can I do it with just like a configuration change? You can't deploy, man, because if you deploy, you blow away all of your caches, which during a time of very high load is devastating.
You don't want people to have to rebuild all that shit.
That's devastating. You can't do that. And so I started Googling some stuff, and I was like, yeah, I think I actually can do this.
All right.
What I did and how the site was able to come back up after I think it was 2 hours. I wrote some configuration in our server software that if you were one of those people that was slamming the refresh key just non-stop, or if you came from a data center, in other words, you're a bot, you would continue seeing that screen. You would be put in jail, basically for the rest of the night. You would not be able to get through. And you may have seen flickers of that screen while you were navigating the site during the night. That meant you were getting perilously close.
Ooh.
So that was able to keep everything. So actually, whenever I pulled the page down and I put that in, CPU was at 99%, and it stayed there. It stayed there for about 6 hours, but I was able to keep the site up that whole time. So it stayed pinned at 99%, but it just didn't tip over, and that's what got everything going.
Holy, that is barely treading water. And you are absolutely going to remember that war story for a while. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was wild, man.
I'm getting goosebumps vicariously. I used to work at a data center, and that is one of the things I'd be dealing in on the inside if they were just let's throw more money at it. Okay. Not really an option for a, volunteer website.
That's right.
Fantastic to hear, though. I mean, so not to go too behind the curtain here, but what are we looking for? It's a Saturday night at the time of record. What's our load?
Wow, I can pull it up right now. Let's just take a look, because we hit an all-time high today.
I've been saying it over and over in the intros for these episodes. Each time I record, it's a new site high, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon.
No, I really don't. I've sort of done some projections on that, and I can fairly well predict where things are going to end up over time. But right now, we're looking great. We're at 60% CPU, very stable. Everything is doing fantastic. Honestly, like, it's not the players playing on their emulators and the emulators talking to the server that causes any drag. It's the people slamming the homepage non-stop. And I think a lot of that was just sideways traffic. You know, I sort of looked, and because I was trying to figure out, man, what happened? Because I was still stunned. It seemed like right at 5:10, something changed, and we just got slammed.
Did somebody publish an article? Or?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Right around then, what's that guy's name on Twitter? That Wario64 guy?
Not familiar.
He's a very popular game person on X or whatever. You know, he
Sure.
posts like a lot of interesting, you know, news and deals and stuff. You know, he tweeted about us, and I think it got something like 1 million impressions. And that, I think that tipped it over because, of course, like his tweet.
Oh, he has 1.3 million followers. Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah,
that'll do it.
his tweet had, you know, a link directly to our homepage, and one thing I noticed was, man, it's not people that are logged in that are causing all this volume. It's like traffic that we've never seen before, and I think that's what it was. I think that's what caused it to tip over because, like, all day I was looking at what the CPU was doing, and, you know, it was doing its normal thing. Like, it was just steadily climbing, and it steadily climbed all the way to 70%, and then it was like, bang! It instantly transitioned from 70 to 100, and I was like, oh crap! Oh man!
Here we go.
You know, I was not ready for that.
I mean, and it's just another example of sort of like the guy who, like, should you broadcast it? I'm sure this Wario guy meant total well. Like,
oh yeah.
Hey, let's bring attention to a website that seems pretty cool. They're getting ready to do something new
for
themselves. Yeah. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
You know, suffering from success. They're champagne problems. You don't want to make a bad impression for the people who are just finding it for the first time. And I think that's where the oh shit page saved you.
So that's really the key learning is we absolutely want to encourage that. And it's awesome that we got that exposure that we did. What has to change? All right, we're going to talk about future things. What has to change is in a hypothetical world where we're rolling out DOS or 3DS or insert other system that will no doubt be very large here. We just can't keep the general site up for the general public anymore, at least for like maybe 3 or 4 hours. You're gonna have
logged in registered users for at least X amount of days type thing.
I think it's gonna just have to hit everybody. So everybody except, you know, developers who need to get in and do their work. Everybody else is gonna have to be locked out again. Because here's the thing, like, emulators have to be able to keep working. That can't go down.
The website isn't the main, like, as much as we like the community enjoying it here, like, the website isn't the main draw, let's be real. It's all about give me those damn achievements. So as long as the emulators keep working at the crux of the thing, the system is still working.
That's right. Yeah, that absolutely can't go down for any reason. So I will pull down the website if that's what it takes to keep emulators connected. So I think what's going to have to happen for future gigantic rollouts, because there will be more, is, yeah, we're going to have a page like that, but rather than making it say something like, oh no, you know, things are blowing up, oh man, you know, things are on fire.
This is totally planned.
We're going to say, hey, this is actually a cool thing that you get to see this page that you don't get to see very often, and what I can do, it's just an HTML file, but what I can do is I can have the server write to that HTML file, hey, here's what's been published already, and maybe here's some of the achievements, and here's what people are playing, but it's still...
Then that's mainly what people are going for.
Yeah, it's still like a static HTML file that doesn't actually hit the database. It's just like the server updating that file like every minute or so, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
I think that would be cool, and that wouldn't be hard to build. We should just do that.
That sounds like a fantastic plan, and like I was just saying, I bet that's 90% of the reasons people are refreshing so damn quick on the homepage. They want to see what the top players are playing, what's just getting released, you know, what are some of these achievements for these sets I've been waiting for because I didn't bother checking the unofficial page.
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. If you find a way to tool in that HTML file, like you're saying, that would be a fantastic workaround. Probably solve damn near every part of it. That command of the page.
I think it would, yeah, because I mean, this is at least going to happen. I could think of maybe 6 or 7 systems that we're talking about.
So let's just jump right into a question I already had written. Kind of, I did a little poking around, and I noticed that you have been active on the Reddit. And one of the things you mentioned is that you had no problem supporting the Xbox, the 360, or the PS3.
I may have. Okay.
I did poke back about half a year.
Okay.
And you mentioned something along the lines of would be happy to confirm or deny what's on our, quote, roadmap.
I would. You're right. That sounds like something I'd say.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
These have to be some of the ones we're discussing. The Xbox, the 360, and the PS3.
Okay. So I can tell you where we're at with all 3 of those.
All right.
A lot of this won't be happy news.
No, I figured a lot of it is still just like we got to figure out somebody to actually work and integrate it.
Yep. So let's start with the Xbox 360. My perception is the Xbox 360 emulation scene still has... I shouldn't say the scene. I should say Xbox 360 emulation itself still has some maturing to do. It still needs to be a little bit more battle tested. Basically, we don't want to support a system that, hey man, half the games are either not supported by the emulator, or they're technically playable, but you really wouldn't want to play.
They're pretty janky.
Yeah. You really wouldn't want to play the game that way. I think, and unless things have progressed leaps and bounds from last I checked, that's kind of where we are for Xbox 360 emulation.
Now, to be fair, this was a reply to somebody that was like making a very definitive, we're never going to have this type of statement.
Now, what I can say is that if somebody out there develops, an Xbox 360 emulator, or if the current Xbox 360 emulator that everyone uses, becomes a very mature piece of software that runs the library, reliably, stably, then it's very likely you're going to see a RetroAchievements integration with it one day. It's not really relevant that system had achievements at one point. Like, let's just be real. Given that was sort of the origin of an achievement system, Most of those achievements, especially early on, are pretty bad.
Yes.
And I think that we could probably do a lot better. That's my personal opinion.
There was, just as an example of early terrible games and terrible achievements on that console, for whatever reason, I made the terrible decision to rent a Superman game on the 360 from Blockbuster.
Okay.
And at that age, I was playing a lot of other things like Grand Theft Auto Vice City, that kind of shit. And what's very popular in those? Cheats. You just have a muscle memory at some point. If you're not playing on RA, it's just something you did when you were. So I looked up, hey, what cheats are there for Superman? Cool. I don't even remember which one I put in first, but what I did notice was that upon entering it, it gave me an achievement I couldn't get rid of. It was just like, cheater, you fucking cheated, you suck. And I'm like, it didn't say that, obviously, but it was along those lines. Yeah. I'm like, God, what the hell? 0 points, of course. That stayed on my profile forever.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
No!
Yeah, no, none of that surprises me. But you mentioned that. I actually thought you were going to take that another direction. I remember playing games, and I did something very similar. Like, I put in some cheats or whatever, and I remember I could still keep earning achievements. Like, it was no problem. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. That seems like it was a common thing. I feel like people may look at those achievements often wearing, rose-tinted glasses, but objectively, a lot of them just were not... They were interesting, but they weren't that good compared to even something you might see on the PlayStation Network today.
I mean, they were almost checklisty.
Yep.
And nothing beyond the realms of that. Completion.
Yeah.
And what we would call completion. And let's also just be real. RA is a completely different beast when it comes to achievements. Like, I would say we're arguably one of, if not the hardest achievement platform that exists out there.
Oh, yeah.
Standard consoles and, first parties included. There's a couple of other websites I've seen There's been guests I've had on for news segments before that talked about. There's some foreign websites that basically have play along software. It's not for retro games though. It would be like, let's make modern games even harder. So similar type of vibe, but not our alley.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Now, you did mention 2 other systems.
Yes.
So Xbox, the original Xbox, my understanding is emulation there is accelerating in terms of progress. Like, it's starting to sort of come together. It's still got its fair shake of issues.
Mm-hmm.
So they're interested. I'll put it that way. They're interested. Where I'm a little guarded is, again, like, there's a huge portion of that library that, yes, it may technically be playable on that emulator, but that's not the way that you want to play the game.
Right.
There's a wide spectrum of what playable means. And, you know, that may mean that you boot the game and all the graphics are garbled and it's just a buggy... Hey,
font doesn't exist.
Playable. Yeah, you technically can play it, you know, but would you want to? I don't know. And I don't know that really aligns with the goals of the project in that, you know, I wouldn't want someone to experience the game the first time that way. So what I can say is that they're interested and they have like a team member who's actively looking into it.
Very cool.
For a year or 2 down the road, like it'll already be there ready to go whenever the emulator catches up.
Excellent. I mean, that's fantastic news. I know you said that might be a little bit disappointing when we started this conversation, but damn, no, we can wait. We've waited so far. We just got a shiny new toy.
So PS3 is one that I want the most. Well, it's not the one, but it's one of the ones that I want the most. So that emulator, you know, RPSC-S3,
SX,
I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever,
3.
man. It's a tongue
letters.
twister. It's a lot of letters and then 3.
My brain keeps wanting to throw in an X from like PCSX2.
That's a very mature emulator. It's very stable. It requires a beefy machine to run. That should be expected. I've even seen like a lot of feedback related to the Wii. Hey man, this is kind of intense compared to what I'm used to at RetroAchievements. Get used to it. That is going to be... Wait until the 3DS pops in. Like,
no shit.
It requires a little bit more of a beefier setup to run some of this stuff. PS3 would be no joke to run some of those games at full speed. Like Red Dead Redemption, running it at full speed in that emulator is no joke.
Right.
Given that, like, I absolutely would love to see us support PS3. There's a lot of technical problems that need to be figured out to be able to do that. A lot of it is toolkit related. The 2 main ones that I can think of right off the top of my head, the first one is hashing. So for someone who may not know what that means, whenever you load a game in an emulator and you see, hey, you're logged in and you've got this many achievements, what the emulator has done is it has scanned the file that you just loaded, and it has captured something called a hash. And basically that's like a unique fingerprint that identifies that file. That's how we know you're playing the right version of the game and all the achievements will work correctly. And for very, very tiny games, that tends to be... the algorithm that we use for hashing tends to be fast enough. Like, we can do it like in 1 second. Whenever we started supporting the PS2, or started looking into that, you know, a problem emerged. All right, well, damn. These are 4 gigabyte files.
Yeah.
You know, if we want to hash a 4 gigabyte file with this algorithm that is baked into the toolkit, well, that's going to take 60 seconds. Okay, well, you can imagine how that went over.
Absolutely frustrating.
So we don't do that. What we do is we identify parts of the PS2 disc that you're going to load in the emulator that, oh, these parts are like always unique based on the game that you're about to load, and we partially hash the disc. Okay?
Yep.
Well, we're going to have to figure out some kind of wacky workaround for PS3 as well, and that's still forthcoming. No one has worked on that yet.
So is it just safe to say that as consoles get more complex, so does finding those hash values that definitively and accurately describe a single, let's say, ISO?
If we continue using this hashing algorithm, yes. So that's a whole other debate of should we change our hashing algorithm? I have a strong opinion on this. I sense others may feel differently, and that is totally valid as well.
I feel like you are of the innovator mindset, though, so I feel like you would be in camp change. Am I right?
I am in camp change. I can confirm that I am in camp change.
Okay.
But my opinion is probably ill-informed. I haven't worked in our emulator code anywhere near as much as other contributors, and I feel like their voice probably should matter more for that than mine. But I am identifying that we've got a big problem to solve there for PS3. That's the first big problem. Okay, the second big problem, which will also affect 3DS, is, all right, we can hash games, we can uniquely identify games, and wow, developers, they can open the achievement toolkit to start working on stuff. Get to work, guys! You know, and they start working, and they start digging through memory. Oh my god! There's nearly a gigabyte of memory here.
Right.
Well, yeah.
They're bigger games.
They're way bigger games. And so that is kind of a problem. Like, you're starting to deal with memory that is ridiculously, like, there was a period, if you go back far enough, I'm pretty sure that people thought RetroAchievements supporting the Nintendo 64 was basically impossible. That the toolkit was too limited to do it, and I want to say that there were some slight modifications made to make it a little bit easier. And the same was said about PlayStation. It's impossible, throw in the towel. Like, there's just too much memory here. Now you have people like decompiling games, like trying to find where these memory addresses are. You have like these crazy linked lists of pointers. It's just sort of ridiculous, some of the things that I see these folks doing to figure out the memory addresses for achievements. That, like, every console generation that we support, like further down the line, that, you know, in terms of being more modern, the complexity of doing that, like, it's like one order of magnitude even more complicated. And right. I think that will actually be the big problem with PS3. Put it this way. You're playing Red Dead Redemption. It's a massive open world game. It's ridiculously more complicated than GTA San Andreas. There is stuff happening all around you off screen that you can't even see, that most players never will see. And it's all being tracked by the game at once. Like, and you're looking for a very specific thing in all that noise. Oh, and all of it also uses indirection, and it probably also is using pointers, because now, you know, the system is complicated enough that all the games, they're all written.
That's just commonplace.
Huh. Yeah, that's just how they're all built. So I think that will be the gap, and I think you're going to start seeing a lot of that with 3DS as well. Whenever it's very, very, very plausible that we're going to support 3DS long before we support PS3. And I think that's going to be a major hurdle with 3DS, is like the system is way more complicated in terms of memory than anything we currently support. I think because developers, they can open the toolkit in 3DS right now. It's a way, way more complicated system than anything else we have.
I mean, not to sound ignorant here, or possibly stupid, but does something as simple as the 3D slider change anything in the memory, or is that simply a visual aspect?
I think it's just visual. Yeah, I think I think that just controlled, like, there's like a shutter. I'm not an engineer, but I think that just sort of controls something physical on the display.
Gotcha. All right, well, at least that's not something that people have to worry about, each little increment of 3D depth having its own fucking value. Yeah. No. Either way, you're kind of hitting on the money, and not to lean into the joke that, you know, or the small fact that everybody knows about either Red Dead Redemption 1 or 2, but how if the weather is cold, the horse's balls will shrink. It's like, that's going to be tracked in memory somewhere. That is going to be in there, as goofy as it is. And you'll have to sift through horse nuts.
Oh, those games are going to be a lot of... I think it's only a matter of time that we do support PS3. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm really looking... Like, that's the system I'm probably looking forward to. It's not the most, but it's definitely up there.
Are there just some favorite games on there that you kind of had experienced when you were younger? Or what's the proclivity towards this?
No, I mean, Red Dead's one of my favorite games ever, and Final Fantasy 13 runs great on that system. And,
You like Final Fantasy 13, Wes?
I'm one of the few people that enjoy it, yeah.
How have you done such a good job with this website and you like Final Fantasy 13?
I know, yeah. It's a little controversial, I get that. Now, there's a lot of good stuff on there. I'm excited for it.
A game series that I was really disappointed that didn't go anywhere on the PS3, and I don't think it made it off of it. I believe it was called Resistance, Fall of Man, is what I'm thinking of.
I had that game, yeah.
It was like this alien Call of Duty type thing. Oh, I want to say it was a launch title.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one of the things I was absolutely drawn towards, this would be the first experience with online gaming after the 360 for me. So played a lot of Perfect Dark on the 360 and that kind of thing. Loved the console up and down. Okay, so you played that as well. I absolutely adored the online multiplayer of that. And I'm sure looking back, it's crude as hell and probably doesn't stand up today, but I thought the IP itself was really landed on its feet. You have something that at the time everybody's eating up, Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, all these old shooters and war, battles, blah, blah, blah. Let's introduce some sci-fi. And I thought that was, let's go. And I guess it just didn't do that well. Insomniac behind it as the studio, really solid chops on them at the time, before they became Insomniac today.
No, man, there's great stuff on there. Like, there was Little Big Planet. I loved that game.
Oh, wow. Forgot about that.
It's a great game, man. There's
Comfy
all kinds of good stuff on the PS3.
Now, steering us a little bit away from consoles that are coming, I wanted to bring up some stuff that you mentioned a little bit prior in different posts, be it on Git, be it on Reddit. Just as a general announcement to the public, I noticed a comment you made that basically said, when playing, at the time, this was talking about GameCube games, RetroArch gets about 8 times as many tickets compared to the Dolphin Standalone.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm definitely a standalone user for anything newer than the PS1. Like, I love DuckStation for that. Obviously, PCSX2. And moving forward, they all have decent standalones. For the older school retros, I still stick with RetroArch. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to kind of get an idea or pick your brain a little bit here. Why do you think, one, people are hesitant to adopt the standalones, and two, RetroArch faces as many issues as it does with certain emulators that are more modern?
All right, so there's 2 things there. So, one, let's talk about the adoption thing. The idea of being able to have like an all-in-one, one-stop shop for your emulation needs is pretty attractive.
Agreed.
You'll see that play out not just with RetroArch, but other emulators too. That like Delta immediately comes to mind. And there's others out there too, where you support a bunch of cores, and man, all of your options are consistent between the different systems, and there is an appeal to that, and that's why RetroArch does well. Now, the ticket thing is accurate to a point. I would say that it was more accurate then than it is now, and what I mean by that is whenever I ran the numbers there, that bothered me so much that I developed a system that if you're using the Dolphin core in RetroArch, we started popping a notice saying, hey, use a standalone instead. And so we started popping that alert to every single person that was using the core.
Good.
And finally, the developer of the core reached out. And they're like, so what would it take to get you guys to stop doing this? And I said, oh man, this is exactly what I want.
Right.
This is just what I need. And I said, I want, start versioning the core, because one problem that we have is a lot of times, so emulators, they report what version they are to our server. And so we can say, all right, well, hell, that version's too old, axe it. And that's how we can keep people upgrading, so they have the latest and greatest features for achievements. Our toolkit is the latest and greatest. Emulator cores do not do that, or conventionally they don't. They can, but they basically have had no reason to up until now. So they
if it isn't broke, don't fix it type thing.
Yeah, so they have it doesn't matter how old that Dolphin core has been, it's always reported itself as the same version. So I said, all right, well, it'd be really cool if you started communicating what version of the core this is, because obviously, all these tickets are coming from really, really old versions of the core.
Right.
People don't know that they should upgrade to the latest version of the core, which basically fixes all these problems. And he's like, all right, yeah, I can do that. I was like, wow, okay, cool.
That's exactly how I wanted it to go. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, how about can you get the core to be functionally equivalent to Dolphin's emulation engine? He's like, yeah, no problem. I was like, oh
shit,
wow,
you're making this easy. Thank you.
Yeah, and so they did that, and so now whenever you're using that Dolphin core, I can't officially say we support the core, but if you're using a version of that core that is still way out of date, we'll tell you to upgrade to the latest version of the core rather than use the standalone. And I think politically speaking, there's going to be people that are not happy with that, and I get that. I accept that, but I think this arrangement kind of plays to our interests the best and makes the maximal amount of people happy.
I mean, so you found a pressure point within your realm of control, which is putting up the notice. You pressed it. It was up to them to respond to you, and they chose to.
Yep.
They could have ignored it and kept living their life. They chose to engage. You said, hey, this is what it'll take for me to stop doing what is within my realm of control. And they were open to the idea and agreed on it. I don't think that should be too, up in the air in terms of politics.
Hey, and I want to say that they were totally great about it too. It's so far been a really, I'm really glad that I did this and this happened, because it's been a really, really good working relationship so far.
Excellent. And I'd imagine that's the kind of thing we would like to develop with other emulators that we eventually encounter, or people that develop cores, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If there's communities that are adjacent to ours, it's only going to behoove ourselves to make those connections and have somewhat of a good relationship and good standing. You don't want to be an enemy with somebody who plays in the same world.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Talking a little bit more about the future, you mentioned that the beaten system was developed in 2023. It's something that a lot of people have jumped on, myself included. I definitely have not been one for masteries. I just love playing the game. So knowing that, hey, this is a game I played before and I want to romp through it again and I know how to do it back in my hand, I just don't know how to do these fucking achievements because I'm not that greasy.
Yeah.
The beaten system has been something I really enjoyed. Earlier this week, I kind of discussed it with you just coincidentally because you kind of threw it out in the Discord. We're considering, and correct me if I'm wrong, potentially having end screen beaten pages from games.
Yep, that sounds right. So let me walk you through that.
Yeah.
There's actually a whole story here. I haven't told anybody this.
Ooh.
So my first RetroAchievements account, which is inactive, I created it in 2014, and I played a few games. I played one game. I played Donkey Kong. And I unlocked a few achievements, and then I peaced out. And I didn't return until the pandemic in early 2020.
Okay.
So before that, I wanted to spin up an open source project of my own, and I had this idea in my head. So one thing that I've done whenever I beat games is, and actually talking to a lot of people, they do this too.
Yes.
They pull out their phone at the very end of the game, and they take a photo of the screen, and whether it says the end or the credits are rolling or whatever, and I always do that too. And somebody was telling me about their photo album that they have, and they're like, yeah, man, I've got 100 photos in there of all the games I've beaten over the years. And I was like, oh man, that's really cool.
I gotta jump in here for a second. Because
right.
not only am I a person who does this, but I can tell you the exact moment it started, and it is still such an impactful gaming memory for me. So, I was 6, maybe 7, very young. I would get up for school in the morning, come downstairs, hop in the shower, have a little breakfast, maybe watch like 15 minutes of TV, and then it would be time to get out the door. I was getting extremely close to the end of Link to the Past, and I knew it. I felt it. You know, I had no definitive proof, but this was one of the earlier games that I was beating, and I was like, there's just something that tells me there's not much left on this fucking bone. So I decided to wake up an extra hour early. So I do, and that's before my mom was even up at the time. So I get up, get in the shower, make myself some little food. I say make myself. I think it was like toast and an orange. I didn't make shit. And then I plop my ass in the living room on the TV, because that's where the game was at the time, and crank out Legend of Zelda. Not more than like 45 minutes into this extra hour did I kill Ganondorf, and at the same time, like a goddamn Hallmark movie, my mom is coming down the stairs, rubbing her eyes, and like, oh, morning, why are you already up? And I stand up and lose my shit because the whole, like, ending credit thing is happening. And I'm like, look! That is where it, like, impacted me of, like, this is the ending screen of a game, and it fucking matters, and I want people to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that totally resonates with me. And so, this guy, he told me about this photo album that he had, and I was like, oh, man, like, I could make that into a project, I came up with this idea for a website. It was almost like a micro social network where it was called Finish Your Games. And literally the whole point of the website was you made an account and you said, I beat this game, and you upload the photo you took from your phone, and that's your
beating the game. Yes.
That's your profile. That's your whole profile, is just your list of beaten games and the photos that you took proving that you beat it. That was the website. And so I've been doing a lot of work recently over our images. Like you've seen the banners on game pages, man. They're beautiful. Yeah. They're beautiful. And so I was like, well, man, we need to make everything beautiful. And so I've been looking at, all right, well, why don't we modernize like how we take screenshots and how we upload screenshots? Like even for the Wii, whenever you zoom into some of those screenshots, like our back end can't handle photos or screenshots that high res. It's just not.
You gotta think. We were designed for the SNES, right?
Yeah, our back end it simply is not built for that, but it can be, and it will be. So we're making a few changes. One, games are going to start supporting 20 screenshots instead of 2.
Holy shit!
This is all coming very soon. Games will support 20 screenshots instead of 2. So that's change number 1. Change number 2 is you may notice that whenever you're viewing our existing screenshots, like some of them may be way more blurrier than they should be, especially if it's pixel art. That's because we basically have no standards enforcement for, hey, a Game Boy screenshot needs to be this many pixels by that many pixels. It's all just honor code right now, and I've done a check on how many games are technically out of compliance, and it's something like 5,000 that need to be fixed. But
hell yeah.
We are going to start having every single... Man, the amount of research I had to put in to figure all this out. Every single system is going to have, these are the resolutions of screenshots you can upload. So everything will be standardized. So that's change number 2.
So I'd like to jump in right there if I could. Talking on having 20 changes and standardization in the second point, are those, or 20 screenshots, are those just going to be whatever the hell you want, or is there going to be guidelines about, hey, we would like at least 10 of them or X of them to be this, 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 and that?
So I'm not sure that I can opine on that beyond saying that all right, let me continue, because I'm gonna in a roundabout way I'm gonna answer that question.
Sounds good.
Okay, so change number 3 is right now, we support a title screenshot and an in-game screenshot, right? Like you got a title image and then there's a screenshot of some gameplay. So change number 3 is going to be finish your games. We're going to add a third type of screenshot, the completion screenshot. Okay? That's what you see. It says the end, whatever it may be. It's more of an art than a science. It may be the credits rolling, whatever. Okay.
Whatever the game allows.
Whatever it is, we're going to have it. And if you haven't beaten the game yet, maybe it'll be, behind a spoiler tag, or it'll be hard to see or something. Like, we're not just going to put it in front of you. Yeah, we're not going to put it in front of you like front and center. We're not going to spoil the game. That's real important. Okay, that's change number 3. Change number 4 kind of answers your question. We have a lot of stuff to fix as a result of this. A lot of our screenshots, bless the people who have uploaded all the media that we have, because it's a lot. A lot of our screenshots are in disrepair and are going to have to be replaced. And I built tools to identify all the ones that need to be fixed. But then you get into the idea of, wow, I can upload 20 screenshots now. Man, we have like thousands and thousands of games in our database. How in the world are we going to like source all this stuff? And
how is that going to affect our storage?
Well, that's a solved problem. That storage is very cheap. But like how are we even going to get all this stuff in the first place? Like that, you're talking tens of thousands of screenshots that would be awesome for us to have. How are we going to do that? So change number 4
user submitted screenshots?
Yes, we're going to have a new way. We're going to have a new way for people to contribute to the website, which is, as a player, because we have standards that we can enforce now, you can upload screenshots, and it'll pass through some kind of microservice filter that makes sure that you're not uploading not uploading something insane. But then, like, we can have a media team that verifies these things. And man, if you're contributing to our site in this way and you're helping make our game pages better, like, you should get a badge for that. Like, you really should.
Look at you dangling that carrot on the stick. There you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so then all of a sudden it's like not a problem. Like, we don't need all the achievement developers to go back and beat all these games. I couldn't ask that.
That's asking a lot. That's asking a lot.
I couldn't ask that of people. But like, players will happily upload this stuff, especially if it says uploaded by so and so.
Absolutely.
That they would be delighted to. So why don't we let them? We totally should. So that is change number 4. And then change number 5 is, hey, let's pretend that you've beaten 100 games on the website, and man, because people are uploading all these screenshots, like we actually have, probably most of them have completion screenshots at this point. Well, now on your new user profile, which we haven't built yet, you have like a tab or a sub page of, it's not front and center, but some sort of thing that you click to get into that here's all the games that you've beaten, and here's like a scrapbook style page of all the beaten game screenshots or completion screenshots for all of them. And you have like all these memories of what you put into the game to get to that point. And
a virtual scrapbook, so to say.
It's just cool. And some people may not be into it, and that's fine, but I think by this point we have sufficient data to say that there's a lot of people who would be into that. And it's not really replacing masteries. Like, you're still not getting a badge.
It's the equivalent of a beaten, is it not?
It is. Badges are still front and center. But it's just something that, hey, I only play RetroAchievements for beaten games, and that's cool, and this is what I have to celebrate that.
Nice. I think that's a fantastic direction to steer. I personally, like you said, as one of the beaten players, am somebody who's absolutely looking. Kind of looking in a slightly different direction. A while back, the missing content hub was removed from the regular player's view. I've been around long enough to know that this got some controversy just because people would sometimes look at it and go like either A, oh, the dev didn't do a good enough job, or B, this set is terrible and it totally needs revised and it's revision fodder. Like, taking that away from the player's view, did that take it away from the developer's view? Can they still see it? Or, like, what do you think the benefit of taking away from players versus not taking away from devs, or am I misunderstanding the view?
So I did make that change, and
yeah.
I stand by that change.
I think it's a solid one myself as well. I just want to hear the reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna give it to you. So that was a data-driven decision. Developers still can see it on every game page where the game is in that hub. So my main issue with that hub is that it basically had no rules on what could get put in there. So games would get put in there. I'll give you an example. There was a game that was in there because there was a demo of some other game on the same disc, and because the set didn't cover the demo, hey, it's missing content. Man, no, it ain't, man.
Get out of here.
So stuff like that, and then a player would see that and be like, "Oh, I ain't gonna play this, man. It's just gonna get revised." So no, that's real toxic, man, and that is to the detriment of the platform, and so no. So now, whenever something gets in that hub, there needs to be a good documented reason why it's there.
A solid justification.
Yeah, because that's just one example. This is not an isolated ordeal. There were many things in that hub that, like, if you actually
this was always a hot topic.
If you actually looked at what the justification for something being in there was, like, I just can't in good conscience agree with this. Now, another thing I want to add is my own personal bias, and this is also a bit controversial. I personally believe that an achievement set should not be the documentation of a game. You should, what I mean by that is, it is not your job as an achievement developer to create an achievement for every single conceivable piece of content in a game. I don't think that that's necessarily what makes a fun achievement set. You should strive to cover most of the content in a game, but I'm of the opinion that some content is simply not worth covering.
I mean, the example that comes to mind immediately is the million match melee.
Yeah. I mean, that's a classic example. There are people who think that because we don't cover that set is missing content, and that's ridiculous. I'm sorry, I can't really get on board.
Anybody can leave their console on with the joystick holding left and pressing down A on fast forward overnight. Anybody can do that.
So that's a really extreme example. That's the obvious one to look to, but there's plenty of other examples where it's like, oh man, like, yeah, it's technically in the game, but I don't even think the developers wanted you to do that. Like, there's all kinds of stuff like that.
I mean, so I think that's what makes the difference between an achievement and an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Like, an Easter egg back in the day didn't come with an achievement. It just is what it was. Yep. You encountered the monkey family in Halo. That didn't give you a fucking achievement. It just left you asking questions and going, who the fuck is, who? And that is in the same kind of vein of the million match thing. I think it's like, oh my god, I didn't think I've been playing the game this long and it would even recognize it. Holy shit. Yeah. It's not an achievement, it's an Easter egg.
Yeah, I mean, some Easter eggs do make, again, it's more of an art than a science. But,
true.
You know,
some Easter eggs are good fucking achievements. I agree.
They are good achievements. But there are some things that it's just like, no, man, I wouldn't ever want someone to suffer to have. Again, I keep going back to the million matches thing because it's just such an obvious example, but there's plenty of other cases like that. And a lot of the stuff, a significant portion of the stuff in the missing content hub was sort of that class, where it was like, I look at the justification and I kind of raise an eyebrow and I'm like, man, honestly, if players didn't see this blemish on the game page, it's literally just it's like a banner that says, don't play this right now.
Right.
And that is not the message that we want to be sending on our game pages. So that's why I cut it, and I don't regret it.
I think it's a good decision. Like I said, I've been here long enough to see that conversation unfold infinite amounts of times. and it's never ended in something constructive.
Hello, Mr. Wes RetroAchievement?
Yeah.
Hi, I am Knight Axon, the witty waggler of Wiimotes. How are you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. It's the weekend. Oh, man, I already messed up. We probably shouldn't say that.
It doesn't matter. The world is on fire. Just Anyway, it sounds like you went through a lot just to get this Wii rollout running smoothly, yeah?
Yeah, I'm frankly kind of glad it's behind us now so I can get back to solving some fun coding challenges. We got through it, man. We survived.
Ah, yes, the Wii War.
Yeah.
Have you gotten a chance to play any of the new Wii sets that were launched?
Yeah, I've glanced through them, and I don't really have any time to play right now. I'm hoping, like, maybe in a week or two I can sit down and actually start diving through some sets. But yeah, there's like a lot of really cool stuff that I would love to dig in.
Oh, great. Because that was actually your homework assignment for today's pop quiz that I like to call, We Would Like to Know the Ending.
We would like to
Know the ending.
Okay.
I am going to give you 8 games that launched as part of the Wii rollout, as well as a description of the gameplay as a clue, and it is your job to tell me what you think the end screen of the game looks like.
Okay.
Why 8 games, you ask? Because, yo dog, I heard you like end screens, so I put an end screen inside of your end screen 8 times. And then put that in a Honda Civic.
Okay.
For the purpose of this quiz, end screen will be defined as the last screen that you see after rolling the credits, and does not include any secret endings or after credit scenes.
Okay.
Your answer will be correct if you can give me the majority of a correct statement of what is seen on screen. So consider what characters, what actions and poses they're in, and what text you would see.
Man, I'm gonna be really bad at this.
No. Believe in yourself, Sailor Moon.
I'm gonna be so bad.
Questions will be ranked from hardest to easiest, if you're paying attention. And as always, all questions are completely serious, and there are no jokes or tricks.
Bro, have you ever seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I have, bro.
Alright, I'm gonna be like those contestants that were like, they give them the $100 question, like, what color is the White House? And the guy answers blue. They laugh him off the set. That's how this is gonna be for me.
No, it's not going to be anything like that. We don't have a set. Question 1. Mega Man 10, a retro side-scrolling platformer where Mega Man and Proto Man travel through a bunch of different places and spaces to beat up some robots and find the cure for robot cancer, collecting power-ups along the way. What do you think the end screen looks like?
Oh man, yeah, man, that's a great game. The name of the disease is Robo-Enza.
Robo-COVID.
And I would imagine the end screen is probably them putting Wiley in cuffs, putting him in jail, or maybe a shot of him like busting out of jail yet again, something along those lines.
Oh! Incorrect.
Man.
The correct answer is... dragging the screenshot over here.
Ah, okay.
We have Outer Space with a Comet and produced by Capcom.
Huh, okay.
I haven't played all of the older Mega Man games, but I feel like that's something they would do for like all of them. It's Mega Man NES coded. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough.
I've always been meaning to get back into the Mega Man series. I used to play Mega Man X 1 through 3 as a child. I kept re-renting it from Blockbuster. So...
yeah, Mega Man 9 and 10 are fantastic games. They even created like these fake NES cartridges that you could buy. They were like press kits. They gave them to the press, and the NES cartridges, you could actually open them, and there was a disc inside that had like all of the media assets and stuff for like press releases about the game.
Oh, how fun.
For Mega Man 9, they made 2 of these.
Ooh.
Or, I'm sorry, they made 200 of these, and I have 2 of them in my possession, because I was such a huge fan of Mega Man 9 that I was like, I gotta have everything about this game.
Sure.
Yeah, so they're around here somewhere. I have 2 of those. Those are probably the most valuable things I have in my collection.
Yeah, you say 200 of those? I feel like that would be super valuable.
Yeah, there's 200 of them that exist, and I have 1% of all the ones that are in existence.
Man, we were having so much fun here. Why'd you have to bring math into it?
Yeah, no, they're pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Well, neat. Love that for you. Anyway, number 2. The game is Alien Crush Returns. Surprisingly not a dating sim, it is a WiiWare pinball title with gameplay as exciting as its Times New Roman-ass logo.
Ah, okay.
You use your Wiimote's motion sensor to activate super cool abilities like tilting the table.
Oh, really?
And the game, yes. You can just contain your excitement for just a second.
Okay.
This game also features the thrilling introduction of action balls.
Okay.
No, I will not give you more context on what that is. What is the end screen?
Wow, man. Since it's a pinball game, I haven't even played the original.
Does anybody know?
But the notion of the game sounds really cool. I actually want to check this out later. I would assume that it's probably something to the effect of like 80s pinball graphics where you had like sort of an LED panel right above your score or something that showed like a very simple graphic that was like low res, but it was bright and it did a lot of the heavy lifting. I would imagine it's something like that. So I don't know what a precise answer might be, but I would imagine it's like very non-sophisticated, probably on purpose. Maybe of like an alien exploding or something.
Oh! Well, you got the low-res, non-sophisticated part down. However, it is just the logo.
Wow, that's actually a lot more sophisticated than I'd say I got that wrong.
There's that frickin' Times New Roman font. Graphic design was somebody's passion.
Yeah, I would say that I missed that. So that's like a lot more color than I would expect from like a retro pinball game. Like these things literally only had one color. Like even the Game Boy had more color than these panels did on an old school pinball game. It was just either the light was on or off for that pixel, and that was it. And they used that to create all kinds of intricate shapes and graphics and stuff. What was cool though is it was like really bright and it was really loud. Whenever you had like a lot of these in one room, it was just like a cacophony of arcade bells and whistles that's really cool. And it's really hard to like get that feeling today at a modern venue.
Learning. Thanks, Granddad.
Oh yeah, very good, very good.
I vaguely remember the loud pinball machines from the arcades when I was one of the youths. Because, you see, in the 90s, we used to have all of our birthday parties at the arcade. And, I don't know, just never really got into pinball. Too open-ended for me.
I'm not super into it. So I've also been around like a lot of pinball. My problem with it is I don't even know how to get good. Like, I can be there and I can play and I can, do my thing or whatever. I feel like I don't understand how to practice. And I don't understand, like obviously you want to get a higher score, but I can't really connect the dots on how to even get from A to B on that. Like, I feel like I could just play this thing infinitely, and I'd be in the exact same place that I started.
That's very adjacent to me and anything sports, where I have no concept of the rules of anything.
Yeah.
I just know you hit the ball and it goes somewhere, and maybe you score a goal unit point. Sometimes the guys with nice legs get to run around in shorts.
Well,
I imagine it just comes down to like good reaction time, and then I don't know. I don't care to learn any more about it.
Like, I mean, I've watched people play, because I've been to Donkey Kong tournaments where there was like a pinball tournament also happening like off to the side. And so like, just out of intellectual curiosity, like I've been like, all right, this is my time to find out. Like, how do people who are good at this, how are they good?
How exactly does one?
And so like, I've gone over there and I've watched. And man, like, they're moving the machine around, but not enough to, trip the tilt sensor or whatever, but they're moving the machine around, which also like, shifts the ball as it's, rolling down the playing field. Or they're like timing their shots exactly to like get the arc of the shot or whatever so it'll place exactly where they want. So like there's a little bit of geometry or trigonometry going on. I don't know, like it seems that it could be cool. I just don't really understand it.
Just stare intently at them and be like, tell me your ball secrets.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of sports, number 3. Wii Sports is a collection of 5 sports games where you use your Wiimote to simulate real-life sports movements for games like the tennis and the baseball and the one your grandma likes where you knock over the pins. It was a pack-in title for the Wii from launch on November 19th, 2006. So it was the first of the 1,612 games that eventually launched for the system. What is 1,612 times 19?
1,012 times 19. Well, let's see. 1,000.
Oh shit, he's
okay,
calculating it? Is he actually going to get
see,
this?
12
Nobody gets the math
times
question. That's my whole
9.
bit. Danny, you
Can't
freaking
walk through my
himbo. He's a
thoughts on that.
programmer. Of course he
With
can do
only
numbers
one.
good. Can't have this
12.
happen. I'm going to be
My
embarrassed.
multiplication
What am I even
table.
doing with my life? Should have listened to my mother and went back to med school.
1,000.
Could be the end of my career.
I don't know.
Ha, you got it wrong. You're bad at math.
Yeah. I think if I was not under pressure, I could give you an answer, but under pressure, no,
Actually, the correct answer was 30,628.
Yeah.
Which, of course, I was able to calculate. How could you not know that?
Yeah, that wasn't quite in my multiplication table in 3rd grade.
And everybody was none the wiser. Number 4. DK Barrel Blast is a racing game that was originally going to use the Nintendo Bongo controller, but the mechanic was scrapped in favor of the generic motion controls on the Wiimote. Players control beloved Nintendo copyright-protected DK characters from across the series and strive to place first in each race using their Wiimote waggling and wild moves. What is on the end screen?
I would imagine it's something Mario Kart-esque. I've never actually played this game, but I can envision, a few characters, jumping around on a thing that shows, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. Is that close?
Oh! It is in fact not close, for it is the copyright information.
All right, well.
Literally, just so you know, these are our characters.
Yeah.
If you try to do anything with them, we will Donkey Kong down B your ass into the ground in court.
Huh. Okay. All right.
Surprisingly, a lot of Wii games that were like Nintendo first-party characters, this is literally just all they do for their end screens.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, for the first-party titles, that's pretty disappointing. You would think they would put more effort into it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right.
Number 5 is also a Nintendo first-party game, Kirby's Epic Yarn. Yarn? Why did I write it like that? Kirby's Epic Yarn is a platforming game that features our favorite pink friend-shaped food dumpster, Kirby, who is now made of yarn for some reason, and must collect the 7 magical yarns for the Yarn Prince to save Yarnland from the evil Yin Yarn. He will meet many colorful and adorable friends and enemies along the way on his quest through this fantastic, fabric-y fantasy game. What's on the end screen?
I've never played the Kirby game in particular, but I get Yoshi's Story vibes where, there's just bursts of color everywhere. And so I would imagine something that's on the end is I can envision one Kirby or multiple Kirbys for some reason. That seems to be something in some of their games. And I can envision maybe some enemies having a good time for reasons that are inexplicable. And I envision bright bursts of color in that still.
Yes! You are close enough.
Very good. Excellent.
Probably every character in the game, friend or enemy, and looks like a couple Kirbys in there. This is just one of those old I Spy books, but with Kirby.
Okay.
It's bright, it's colorful, it's yarn.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I was right. I'm gonna say I got that.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
There's also text on the screen that says, "Thank you for playing," which is nice of them.
Yes, very good. Okay.
Yay, we got a point.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Number 6. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles: The Crystal Bearers is an action RPG Final Fantasy spin-off that is exclusively on the Wii. You control a teenager with attitude named Lyle, who had a sick crystal teardrop bling embedded in his cheek and controls kinetic psychic powers. You play both on the ground and in the air, so the sky is the limit as you use motion controls to physically pick up and throw things, and this game was absolutely not a mess to play because of that. Thanks to colorful characters and a whimsical setting, this title was an interesting departure from both the Final Fantasy main series and other Crystal Chronicle spin-offs. What's on the end screen?
So this is another game I haven't played, but I'm going to take a wild guess that it's a solid black screen that just says the end.
Oh! Nah, very wrong.
Man.
We got a bright sky and the logo, and they also thank you for playing. And they got a little signature, which is somebody important, I'm sure.
Bummer.
I actually played this on hardware when I was out of college. It's interesting, It's very spin-off-y, but I had fun with it.
Okay.
And the motion controls are just a mess.
Ah.
I think it actually
okay.
crashed a lot,
Okay.
if I remember correctly. But I did enjoy that it had its own kind of achievement system, which you never saw on Nintendo consoles. They had like medals that you can earn.
Oh, okay.
It looks like the set includes achievements for 100% medal collection, so I'm probably going to play this game at one point, because I don't punish myself enough in my life. Would highly recommend, but I don't know if it's something you would probably want to master.
Yeah.
Unless you're like me and you're crazy.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
Number 7. Resistance Fall of Man is a PS3 first-person shooter that is not on the Wii, where you are the hero in a war and you shoot things because your character is manly and definitely secure in his masculinity. You talked about this with Time Crush on the episode, and I definitely added this in on my own free will and not because he told me to. We are friends, we eat ice cream together, and no one is being coerced. What is on the end screen?
I imagine it's something very dark. I never beat this game, but I did get awfully close. And I just remember it being a very dark and foreboding game, full of death and destruction and dismay.
You know, for kids.
So I would imagine like it's a very dark, almost rustic color palette. There's probably like some fog or some clouds somewhere. And there's probably like dead bodies around all over the place. That would be my guess.
So for the serious game, you're thinking gritty, serious, dismay.
Oh boy, that's usually followed by, I'm about to be very surprised.
I mean, you can add to your answer. If you get anything right, I'm going to accept it.
No, that's cheating, so I can't change my answer.
I mean, you can, but okay, no additions to your answer?
I have no additions to my answer. That's what I see in my mind's eye.
Okay.
Oh!
Yeah, that figures,
It's
man.
text. Your heroic feats have altered the tide of the war with the Chimera, whatever that is. Your memory will live on throughout human history. You are the main character. Press start.
Press the start button. Okay.
Yep. Bare minimum.
So they really had a missed opportunity here, because it could have been really cool, like what I just described. Just dead bodies and death and destruction everywhere. I think like every kid who was playing that game, that's what they would have rather seen.
I mean, isn't that every game, though? There's a lot of cool things they could have done, but didn't. For like time and budget reasons, I'm sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Especially in that era, like PS3, Wii, they just kind of knocked out as many games as they could, as quickly as they could for money.
I mean, this is only a few steps away from the Ghostbusters NES ending screen. What does it say? Like, congratulations, you have just beaten a great game.
A winner is you.
Yeah.
We can't afford proper translation. Not with these cutting-edge graphics. But I don't know. I've only worked on the animations for one game that ever shipped, and it was a very small part, so I wasn't privy to the behind the scenes of budgeting and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is it. The final question. If you figured out the trick to this, then this will be the easiest one. But nonetheless, hardcore mode activate. Number 8. Imagine, if you will, babies. But if you won't, I understand. These babies like minigames, bottles, and they are here to party. Imagine Party Babies, with a Z, very important, as was the trend at the time, features a large group of toddlers that you, the babysitter, have to entertain. I hope you're good at minigames, because they are needy. This game constantly scored a 10 out of 10 in every review, and everybody loved it. Don't look that up. What's on the end screen?
Man, I'm gonna again go with just like a solid color background and something that just says the end. And the reason why I give that answer in particular for this game is this game strikes me as low budget shovelware from what I have seen.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna reckon they probably phoned this part in.
Oh!
You got the shovelware part right, but
Dang, man.
it's just a photo of all of the babies.
Ah.
It literally plays the credits, goes to this picture, and then the camera moves over, does a little rotation, and it's just right back to the main menu screen.
Yeah, I missed that spectacularly. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, this has been We Would Like to Know the Ending. Your score. Like 1 3/4, maybe. You did your best. You tried so hard, you got so far, but in the end, you did no good.
Oh.
So as punishment, you have to babysit all of the Imagine babies for the remainder of the Wii launch event.
Oh, no.
Let me tell you, who is not Imagine Bay? But that's your problem now. Let's get back to the episode.
Kind of talking on hubs all the same, though, steering it into a little more of a positive light. I saw you mention something about quests as an alternative to like hub mastery. Just an example I read was, say, beating all Mega Man games. What I wanted to know is, what does the actual real hour human workload look like to bring this to fruition? Like, how difficult of a brain puzzle is it versus relatively simple but tedious and long-winded?
So, I've already designed basically the entire back end of the feature. As in, it's in a document, these are the Lego pieces, and this is how it all works. That document is publicly available on GitHub for anyone to read.
Oh, I've seen it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's probably like, let's say I'm going to start working on this now. It's probably, I don't know, 5-6 months of work, something like that. That sounds about right. It
seemed deep.
It's pretty deep, but yeah, I mean, we tackled much harder problems. Like I would say that multi-set was probably 3 or 4 times more complicated than that.
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And so if you look at it on that scale, what multi-set took 14 months to build. This would probably take, about 5-6 months. That sounds right.
So, leading into the second part of that question, would you say it's more of a difficult brain puzzle or relatively simple but tedious?
I would say that the work is relatively simple. I actually think that the problem, it's mostly a design problem. Like, how do you communicate to people? What's the difference between this and events in a way that they are able to sort of understand very quickly what that means and grasp it? That's a challenge. Like, how do you design these pages such that I can just find them, or I can explore them and, they seem fun? Like, why would I want to do this? Okay, I get a badge. Is that badge sort of different than mastery badges? Probably should be. Okay, well then what does it look like? Like, there's a lot of these little nuanced design challenges with quests. Like, the actual back end is not hard. I think it's more of like a UX problem.
We're looking at a conceptualization.
Yeah. How do you get people to easily understand this? How do you get people motivated to even want to do this? How do you direct a team to build these things and craft them in a way that's high quality, that'll stand the test of time? Because you can't have thrashing happening on a quest. Like, once it's published, that basically needs to be
was something
it.
I had down after that statement. Was you mentioned the word immutable a lot.
Yeah.
Where like there has to be a strict guidelines for these quests where, like, once something is published, it has to be published according to these rules, because it's going to future-proof you. And likewise, anybody coming out in the future has to abide by those rules, and you can't fuck over previous sets or tiers or however you want to describe it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's kind of the idea is, and I think that is going to be very different from what people are used to, is, all right, it's conceivable that achievement developers are going to be the ones who are on this so-called quest team, okay? And it is healthy for the platform for achievement set revisions to take place. The game theory kind of shakes out that players hate revisions and developers like to do them, because developers are incentivized to create the highest quality work that they can, and players are incentivized to master a game and then bounce to the next one. That's just sort of how the game theory plays out. That's just the fact of the matter. But with quests, you kind of have to flip that around a little bit, and I think that may be hard for some people, which is, all right, achievement developers, yes, it's healthy to revise achievement sets. Now, you have this thing that looks kind of like an achievement set, and the game page, or the quest page, may look kind of like a game page. All right, you have to come up with a plan, and after it's enacted, you really can't change it. So don't mess it up, or I shouldn't say don't mess it up, but like,
you have to play within the rules, man.
It's effectively immutable, and you have to craft a plan thoughtfully in such a way that you can't really take a data-driven approach. Like a lot of achievement developers, what they'll do, and it's smart. It's smart that they do this. Is Vice City instantly comes to mind. That set. I thought that players hated it, but I thought that this was really smart. Hey, I'm gonna release this set. And, hell, I don't know what to score everything. I'm just going to, score everything really low. And after, I have some data on...
I'll increase the points it needs.
Exactly, yeah. After I have some data on how hard it actually is, because, I'm blind. I've been playing this game for who knows how many hours developing the achievements. I'm totally poisoned, and I can't be a good judge. So after I have some data of how people are playing it, I'll tweak the points, and the points will start to slowly rise over time. And people won't get mad. You don't want to start high and then go low, man. That just makes people...
that pisses people off.
That makes people mad. But it's a lot more palatable to start low, and then you wake up one day, wow, man, I got 100 more points. People like that. Quests, you can't really do data-driven... testing or make data-driven decisions like that. Sure. You kind of have to front load all of your decision making, and then out comes the quest, and then you wash your hands of it. It can't really...
I mean...
It technically can change, but...
Not to shill my own team here, but that's where I'd exactly say, hey, shoot your shit for quests off the playtest team. We'll get somebody who's not super familiar with the game to play it and give you an honest answer.
So I would like the team to not solely be achievement developers. I think that you need to have a few different perspectives in there.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too far ahead because this is all still
hypothetical.
Conceptual.
Nobody's even started to work on this.
Yeah, it's still conceptual.
Well,
but
you have given the Lego pieces as you've said, but no one started to look at the plan and put it together.
Right. So that's quests in a nutshell.
So exciting stuff on the horizon, potentially, either just conceptually or one day coming to fruition. But not to get too spicy, and feel free to tell me no. But one of the things I read, and I believe this was around the date of, putting it politely, we'll call it our administration shakeup.
Okay.
You said something along the lines of Discord statements, even by members of our team, should always be taken as hearsay unless there is any supporting documentation to back them. Is this something that you're concerned about moving forward, or was this maybe a statement made at the time of that shakeup? Is there anybody in particular that we should be able to trust? That puts out a little bit of an air of concern.
Nah, let me add some context to that.
Okay.
It's a reasonable question. The context to that is a journalist took something I wrote casually on Discord and went to press with it without talking to me first.
Oh. Can I ask what it was?
It was something related to a 3DS rollout.
No, come on, you would have said something.
So, and so that's what I said, unless a journalist talks to me first, if you're going to take something that I wrote, sideways in a Discord conversation, and you're going to go to press with that very much is hearsay. You cannot do that. You have to talk to me first. Let me give you a comment before, that's just journalistic integrity. So that's the context of what I was speaking on.
Okay, that's a lot more palatable than where I was spinning it. Okay, God. I was like, is there worse shit in store? Please, no. All right, great to hear. Just clickbaiters doing their thing.
Yeah.
All right. There was talk of changing the revision voting, maybe doing a site-wide notification for revision votes. Saw something mentioned on the Git, I believe.
This is really important. This is going to have to come before quests, and it's going to have to come before guides, which, guides, man, that's the next big thing I really want to do after multi-set, but it's going to need to sit on the back burner. I think on-site achievement set plans and revisions is probably the most important thing that we can be building right now. There's a lot of reasons, and there's a lot of data. So how many times have you seen a revision go through, and man, people just go nuts.
Lose their shit.
They lose it. And a lot of times you can't blame them. Earlier, I talked about sort of game theory, and how the game theory of this shakes out is achievement set developers, they are incentivized to, as players in this system, they're incentivized to craft the highest quality work that they can. And oftentimes, what is considered a best practice in achievement set, to put it kindly, is a moving target. Standards sort of evolve and change over the years, and RetroAchievements has been around for a very long time, at least in terms of internet timescale. So some of our oldest sets are in desperate need of a revision, and even sets that came out 2 or 3 years ago, there's stuff in them that I don't know.
But you enter in that territory of, I'm going to piss people off by using this better polished toolkit to craft a more nuanced set, because people who haven't booted the game in 5 years and have already mastered it are going to get real pissed when they see there's 17 new achievements to earn in this thing and they don't have a save file.
Right. So,
that's the double-edged sword here. Needs to be done. I agree.
I've tried all kinds of things to see what would work. I'll give you an example. We used to send out this email. If you had mastered a set, we still send an email. If you had mastered a set, you would get an email saying something to the effect of, Super Mario Brothers has just received new achievements. Click here to view them. I think the language was a little bit more terse than that, but I remember whenever I was people show up in these comment sections and they're just frothing at the mouth, and I was like, man, what? Folks are obviously having an emotional reaction to these revisions, and so I was like, well, what could be causing this, and how are they getting here if not for the homepage? Because I saw very clearly people were not landing on the game page, they were landing there directly. In SEO speak, they were landing there sideways, so they didn't navigate.
They started at a different page.
Yeah, they didn't. No, they didn't navigate to that page from anywhere on the website.
They came from their email.
Yes, they landed there sideways from their email, and then they left some angry comment, and I was like, all right, well, let me look at this email. And so I looked at the email, and man, it's like a letter from the IRS saying you're being audited. and I was like, all right, well, we have to change the copy in this email.
Let's get a little more humanity in here.
So I adjusted the language of the email that said, hey, there's new achievements, but guess what? You've still got your badge. And so
that takes away a lot of the pain.
Well, I thought it would too. No, man, people are still mad, so they still show up angry, and a lot of it is oh man, I had a personal connection with these achievements that have been changed, and these new achievements that you added, I think they're all bad ideas, and I had a great personal relationship with this set. I was one with the set, and now it's a thing that's different, and I don't like it.
I have a hole in me.
Right, and that's valid. I don't want to be reductive.
No, we're not going to take away from people's actual experiences, but these are things otherwise you wouldn't have expected to encounter. We can't say that.
I don't want to be reductive or dismissive of what people feel. What you feel is valid. As a player, that sense of, I was happy with how this was, and now it's different, and I don't like it, that's a normal reaction to feel, and I think what it really boils down to is players are surprised when things change, and people don't like surprises. People generally don't like change, and that should be doubly expected on a site about retro video games. These are the people that don't like change, don't
They are
want
stuck
change.
in the retro.
Yeah, and you just really changed something that they have a great deal of personal attachment to.
It makes sense.
But, so that's the player factor. And so you have like these two competing players in this system, again, through the theory or through the lens of game theory. And like, how do you reconcile that? Well, the fact of the matter is, I don't think that we can ever truly devise a system where every player in that system is going to be happy. But what we can do is we can make the system as it is much more efficient, with much fewer surprises, and give players a space to constructively give feedback on what changes might be, and know that they have a space to be able to do that. None of that exists right now, or if it effectively does not exist right now.
Now, that's something I saw you mention prior, where it's like, hey, make sure your criticism is constructive, like something along those lines.
Yep.
Where it was like, we don't just want bullshit spouted. Make sure you're actually putting some thought into it and giving good, earnest feedback. That's always welcome. Being a dickhole isn't.
That's right. So, like, let me walk you through what a world may look like where sort of the feature that's in my head exists.
Please.
And again, I think this is actually much less complicated than multiset. It's up there, but it's nowhere near as complicated as multiset. So let's say that I'm a developer, and man, there's this game that I really know a lot about, and somebody
You're gonna revise Resident Evil 1. Fuck it.
Yeah, somebody made an achievement set for this game, 4 years ago. And they really didn't know anything about it, but they wanted to throw the set up there. Maybe it had a lot of requests, and they just wanted to make those people happy. That's normal. That's great. Now they're not a developer anymore, and I know a lot about the game, and I have ideas. Oh man, like, there's half the game that's not even covered. Maybe there's some boss fights that don't, give any points, and oh man, this would be a really neat challenge over here.
You didn't even collect the special item, yada yada.
Yeah, on and on and on. And, all right, I would like to propose a revision. Well, in today's world, what that looks like is, first, let's pretend that developer was not inactive. Let's pretend they were still active. Well,
That's a fight on site.
Yeah, the very first thing that you have to do is you have to tell that developer, hey, I'm proposing a revision for your
That's a fight on site.
Yeah. So that is the process today, and in my opinion, that's like openly hostile. So
right.
I understand why that exists, because
you gotta make the other party aware, but damn.
Yeah, the intention is to like foster collaboration and whatnot, but
sure.
The developer is just totally left to their own devices on like initiating that conversation and working through it. And I can tell you that we have sufficient data to show that just does not work.
Right.
So my plan cuts that step entirely. That's going to be gone. But let's say that they do that. Then, they have to go onto Discord. And again, there are very good reasons that all of these hoops exist. There is a story behind every one of these hoops. Then they have to go to Discord, and they have to start a forum topic that links to their plan, which is posted on the website forum. And this has to be up for 3 days to garner discussion. All right, that makes sense. That's cool. And then after like 3 days, then they can go to Discord, but a different channel, and they could start a poll using a very specific command that's pinned somewhere else. And, then they could start a revision vote, but it passes.
Good Lord.
Dude, there's a whole flow chart of everything that you have to do that's involved. Oh, and if you want to, like, transfer some achievements to a subset, then you need to contact this team over here. And they, again, there's a story behind literally all of these things.
I bet, because people were probably fast tracking them and shit like that. But
there's a story. So, but the real problem is like you have to
bend over backwards for this shit.
But think about it this way: like what we're talking about is context fragmentation. Okay, so I have just told you all these different places that I have to go, and all these different people I have to talk to, and all these different discussions that are happening on totally different, some stuff is on Discord, some stuff's on the website. People aren't notified on the website. Sometimes they're not notified on Discord. Like, it's very fragmented. And for me to get the complete context of any revision, especially the most complicated ones, it's basically impossible. Unless I become like an archaeologist and I start navigating through all these different sources, it is literally impossible for you to put that together. Doubly so if you're a player and you don't have access to all these channels. You're just not going to be able to do that. And so, of course, players are going to be confused over, well, like they may see...
I literally don't know about revisions until they are rolled out and happen.
Like, you see the end result, and you may be like, oh, that's kind of weird. But what you don't see is the 300 reply internal topic that led to that result and why. Like, why did you go this way instead of this way? Like, a lot of those conversations do happen, and it's like really constructive hashing out. Players never see any of that. And I don't think that a lot of times is great. So what I was going to get to is, like, let's say that this new feature is in place. What does it look like then as opposed to now? Well, I go to the game page for the thing I want to revise. There's a button somewhere on the game page that I could start putting together an achievement set plan. And a plan could have all kinds of different things that I want to change in it. I could rescore some achievements. I could change their titles or descriptions if I want. So it could be a tool used by writers even. I could change the types of achievements. This is not missable, but maybe it should be. Or though this actually should be progression. Right now it's not. I could propose that I want to demote some stuff. I could propose that I want to transfer things to subsets, even subsets that don't even exist yet. I could design entirely new achievements where they still need to be coded after the plan passes, but hey, here's their design. Let's talk about it. All this gets packaged up into the plan. All right, and then, I can work on this. I can put it all together at once. I can have a plan that's just a draft, and I can work on it over time as I sort of think through it. Whatever.
So readily adjustable.
Yep, and then, let's say it's done. I'm ready to get it out of draft. Let's move this along the process. Well, the system can know, who needs to have... Is there any team that needs to have input on this? That, for example, like spinning up a new subset, there's a team that has to have input on that.
Oh my God. You're talking about an effective pipeline, a chain of command. Like, who and what does this qualify as, and let's get it in their hands automatically.
Yep, that's literally what we do today in a very broken way. So this achievement set plan is basically like a pull request on GitHub, where, hey, the first pass of review is going to be that team. Once they approve it, it moves to the next phase of the pipeline, which is all invested players getting a notification that someone has proposed changes to this achievement set. Here's a forum topic to chat about it publicly if you want. Only privileged people can comment directly on the plan, but there is a public space for people, like players, to give what they think too. People may be able to propose plans anonymously. Developers or whomever may be able to comment on plans anonymously. And then basically, like, it's very similar to a GitHub PR. Let's say that I'm looking at some plan for a game somebody's proposing. Hey man, I can hit an approve button. I can also hit a reject or a request changes button, and I could say, this should be 10 points instead of 5. And the plan can be iterated on, but after a set period of time, like maybe 3 days, 4 days, that plan is going to go to a vote. And it's still going to be developers voting on these things, at least for the time being. And
makes sense.
Hey, if I hit approve of the plan, a few days ago before it went to a vote, my approval is automatically turned into a yes vote. I don't even need to know about the poll. But everybody is getting notifications on site about these things, so they know to act, and it just kind of works. Now, imagine a world where I'm just proposing, I want to move these achievements to a subset, I want to rescore these things, I want to demote this one achievement. If you really think about it, I don't have to code anything as an achievement developer. I'm not making any logic changes. These are really just changes in the database, right? Like,
yes.
All right, so let's say that there are no logic changes in the plan. Well, then the plan auto-executes whenever it passes. You don't have to do anything. It just is done.
Happens.
It just happens. Let's say that it does need you to go code something. Okay. Then you can just go do it, and it's like any other revision. Or let's say that, man, I don't really feel like doing it, but I think that this is a good plan, and it's one that I, want to see passed, but to hell with it. I'm not going to do it.
Developers can propose other people to do revisions?
So check it out. Let's say that you've got an idea for a really good design for changing an achievement set, but you just don't want to have to code the new achievements or whatever, but you'd like to take the temperature on how other people feel about it. Yeah. All right. Have it pass through the whole pipeline. Let's say that it passes a vote. It will instantly go to an approved plans pool for anyone to pick it up and do the work if they want. There's already a dev quest that's kind of like that, where, hey, here's 20 achievement sets that have obvious problems, and this is what we'd like to see changed, and we'll give you a badge if you just implement these changes. It's kind of like that.
Put in a revision badge. Yeah.
Something like that.
Not to jump in here, but could I maybe propose that, if you are in the top X% of users, maybe you get a little small trip to the rodeo.
So check it out. So phase 1 is still going to be this tight-knit system where players are going to have way more visibility into what's going on in the system. And the real ultimate goal of phase 1 is, as a player who I have no elevated privileges whatsoever, 99.9% of users, I should be able to look at any revision that's done under this system and get the full context of the revision. That would
understand what was discussed, what happened. Yeah.
Exactly. That would be a wild success, because that's so much better than what we have right now.
Agreed.
All right. So phase 2 is, okay, I am a player, and I've been on RetroAchievements for some time, and I just played this set, and I spent a lot of time on it. And I have an idea of how to make it better. And as a player, I would like to propose a plan. All right. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that, we have some sort of safeguards behind that. There are controls to where people are not just spamming slop. There's a lot of, maybe you need to have a developer sponsor, or maybe you need to burn some
fill in the blank, but you can't, you have to restrict it somewhat.
There has to be controls on this before any developer gets in front of it or something like that. There has to be. But let's say that we figure all that out, because that's a solvable problem. That I believe that can be solved. Then we can basically shop out solving some of these design issues with older sets. And hey, obviously that player, let's say that they get their plan passed, they can't do the work. It goes to the pool, and someone can take it on.
Right. There's where the revision badge comes in, or whatever it would potentially be.
Whatever it may be. Yeah. That's kind of the idea that I'm tossing around in my head right now, and I've got a huge topic on it on our GitHub. But I think this is probably the most important thing to solve this year, because, man,
there's a lot of contrition behind it. Every time it happens, people are upset. Every time.
Yeah, and it's not healthy, and it's not going to totally solve the problem. I have no illusions that this is not going to solve. This will not
make everybody happy, but it will make some more people happy.
Yeah, I think again, I keep going back to the way the game theory shakes out. You're going to have these two camps that are just diatomically opposed. And that is not really going to change. But what this does solve is again, a lot of it is the surprise factor. Oh my God, I had no idea things were changing. And I hate these changes. I'm blindsided. I'm angry. I feel like we can solve that, where it can be like, hey, look, here's like the 500 comment long discussion that went into this that like ultimately led to the production of what you see. And here's the context behind every single choice in this revision. And you can like go through, you may disagree with it, but it's not like it's gone, you know?
I agree, and I personally think it would be better to get it in front of these people's eyes earlier than at the conclusion.
Yeah.
The hardest part of adopting the change for many folks is the fact that it has already happened.
Yeah.
If you can get it in front of their eyes as it is happening, there is something I used to call rearranging the blocks. If I had a plan already set for, say, the day or the afternoon, all right, here's the hours I have. I'm going to go grab lunch here. I'm going to do some errands there. I'm going to get home at this time. I'm going to pick some shit up and clean up the house here at this time. And then at X o'clock, I'm going to sit down and wind down. That meant the blocks had already been arranged. If something came along and kicked over those blocks that was like, oh, a family member called and they need me to come pick them up because they're having car trouble, or, fill in the blank. The blocks need to be rearranged very quick, and that is difficult. It pisses people off when they have to rearrange the blocks very quick. So if you could get the message in front of them earlier, where it's like, hey, heads up, you're going to have to rearrange your blocks. Not they're already kicked over, start rearranging, but get ready, you might have to rearrange your blocks. I think that would do a big step. Not to put that in stupid, simple terms.
No, that resonates with me, and that's part of it. So part of the proposal is I label something, it's called invested players. Well, what's an invested player? Well, that's somebody who maybe they played the game for 5 hours in the last 3 months, or maybe they have a mastery of the current set, or, like there's all these different criteria. We don't want to just like blast out this notification to everybody who's ever booted the game. Like the user who booted the game for 5 seconds just to see if it worked, they shouldn't be getting this notification.
No.
That is not an invested player. But there are people who should be getting these notifications.
80% or over, just throwing out, again, napkin math.
Yeah.
Like,
and
rough number.
Developers may not be happy about this. Like, you are going to have some people who don't agree with your plan at all. And they have a space to publicly comment on it, kind of like they do today, but, not really. And that's just part of it. Like, that is going to help you build a better design in the end. Like, I've taken some pretty tough criticism of some of the things that I've designed over the years, but that ultimately has led to it being better. Sometimes whenever you have like two very sharp stones that are just smashing against each other and making a lot of noise and a lot of friction, at the end, you may come out with some very beautiful stones as an end result, that they're smoothed out against each other.
There's something to be said about when you receive criticism, no matter how crude, because there is constructive criticism that is conveyed eloquently, and there are people who are just, fuck you, this sucks. And in both cases, it's unfortunate, but you need to be able to take it on the chin and continue moving forward. Listen to the people that matter. Listen to the people who are giving you the constructive criticism and trying to help you. Disregard those who aren't, and don't succumb. It literally comes up to don't give up.
Yeah. So my stance on that, especially for this topic, it's kind of like GitHub. Like, these achievement set plans are going to be like working spaces where everyone involved is just trying to produce the best quality output that they can. If you're going to come in and not be constructive, this actually happened very recently where we had, a revision on the site, and somebody popped onto the forum just to call, hey, achievement developer, I think that you're a moron. Okay, well, you just lost your privilege. I mean, you got to say that, but you lost your privilege to say much more on our forum. That's just not really helping anyone, including yourself. But, there are plenty of people on there who are even madder than that guy was, that are like, oh,
still being descriptive in what they're upset with.
Yeah, and nothing happened to those people.
Right.
Like that's fine. People are allowed to be angry as long as they're still being constructive. That's still contributing to the dialogue.
You just can't
And
devolve
that-
into a full idiot.
Yeah.
It pretty much boils down to that. I mean, we've seen it time after time. A crash out over the stupidest shit. You could have like Barbie's Hello fucking driving horse adventure revised, and somebody'd be like, "Oh my fucking god, screw you!" And it's anything.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to steer it into a little bit of a lighter area. Holy shit. The community is great, guys, I swear. Like, we are only talking about a very small minority that's just extremely vocal.
It's a very small minority. Like I actually want to drive that point home.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize this. Like, most of the people who use RetroAchievements, you will never see them on the website because they're not there.
They lurk.
It's not. What it is people just, they see our username and password fields in their emulator, and they're like, oh, well, that seems kind of cool. And so they go and they make an account, and then they enter the username and password, and then it's just kind of there. Like, they don't come back. It's shocking, the percentage of players that fall into that camp. I have the numbers of, how many people are logged in and on the site every day, and it's a very small fraction of the people who are actually in game and just never visit the site. For them, they see the achievement list in their emulator. Sometimes they get some pop-ups. Hey man, I'll check my profile, once a month. And that's it. That's RetroAchievements for them. And so, like, whenever you see people, just exploding in rage on the forum, that is such a small fraction of who actually uses the site. And so, like, one thing that I like to tell folks, it's something I try to do, is like, if I'm playing a set and I really enjoyed the set, I had a lot of fun with it, man, like, go to that developer's like profile and like leave a comment saying, hey, I just finished playing such and such. I really enjoyed the achievement set you worked on. Like, good job working on that. I had a lot of fun. Like, just because more often than not, like, developers, they're just getting so much crap from, people that are just angry. And that's like 1% of people who are engaging with their content. Like, the other 99% are just happy, man. They're just happy that it's there, and they're like, oh yeah, man, this is cool.
Right.
But they never really interact with the community.
They're not going to engage.
Yeah.
I think that's 100% on the money. And if you extrapolate that to, say, like, the real world and the news and things like that, 9 times out of 10, you only hear about the bad things with it. You're never going to hear, hey, this person was totally cool today and he did this. So it's likewise. Take it with a grain of salt. I think we get a bad rap a lot of the time just for clickbait and otherwise people who want to stir up drama because they have nothing better to do. But what I was trying to steer this towards, a little bit of a lighter topic, you were talking about improving the active player box. Maybe followed players, certain privacy options, the quickest. That elicited an maybe some ideas I had was maybe most points per hour, most achievements per hour, consecutive repeated daily visits and gaming instances, something like that.
So a lot of what I'm thinking about is, like it or not, for better or worse, RetroAchievements is kind of like a little social network.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be in the social networking game, but here we are. We're not spying on you and selling all your data. That's kind of...
It's probably the best thing offered since sliced bread in 2026.
But, so for a lot of the site's existence, that social network has been really small, in that this is kind of like a small town where everyone knows everybody, and I'm able to see, I kind of know what everybody's up to, and, that's cool sometimes. There used to be, early in the site's history, we had a global feed. That's a feature Scott was very proud of for building, the global feed. And it was on the home page, and you could see something like, so-and-so just unlocked this achievement for this many points. Oh, so-and-so just started this game.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so just... So, that had to be turned off because eventually, like, the traffic level got so high that it just became more noise than something that was meaningful. I did a little simulation months and months ago of like, oh, what would this actually be like if we turned it back on? And the amount of stuff, like, it would be like rows of content in that feed just flying by so incomprehensibly fast that you could never keep up with it. And I could prove it to you. If you're on our website homepage, you could see our little statistics on the right-hand side in the sidebar there, and you could see like, oh, total points earned over the whole site history. And it's like, it's over 1 billion now. If you just sit there and just refresh the page, just keep refreshing it, and that number is going to just grow and grow. It grows nonstop. There's not a second of the day that number is not growing. So imagine that on a global feed. You just see stuff flying by.
You might have better privileges than I because it's just staying on that same number and I'm refreshing. I'm a bot to you now.
Are you logged in?
I am.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I see it changing, man. I'm right here. I see it changing.
Let me do Control F5. No, that's not doing it.
I see it. I literally can't refresh where it doesn't change. You're sure you're logged in?
Wes.
Really?
Yeah. Well, either way, that's a tale for another day. We'll figure out why the fuck I'm restricted.
I'm very puzzled by that. Well, I'm going to have to hunt that down because that's not what you're supposed to be seeing.
All right. Well, we found a little aberration live in the show.
And you're logged in.
100%.
No way. Just hang on, man.
Oh, this is important now.
That's weird, man. Okay. I'm going to have to hunt that down. Yeah, I can't explain that.
All right. Well, shit. Sorry to throw more problems on your plate, man. Oh.
Yeah, no. That we gotta fix that. That's not any good.
Yeah, all right. There was something that I wanted to ask you just about. There was something I saw you post mentioning that, and we kind of alluded to this earlier in the episode. A lot of the website is built on legacy PHP. And I know that you are somebody who's been adopting Laravel and otherwise trying to integrate that into better functionality. What does that look like in overcoming challenges for, going from such an old language to what a language that if I'm understanding correctly, is still being developed?
Yeah, so Laravel is still PHP, but it sweeps all the bad parts under the rug. So yeah, we have a lot of legacy PHP still in the code. There's still code in there that's original from when Scott wrote it. His name is still attributed to several, probably about 500 lines left that are still attributed to him. The main challenge of a lot of that code is it was written at a time that people didn't really write automated tests for their code. Like, it was just kind of like, hey, man, it works on my box.
We're going to
throw it
grip
up
and
on
rip.
The server.
Yep.
Yeah, let's just do it. And that kind of cowboy engineering is cool whenever you're small and you're scrappy and you need to get just something live. It doesn't necessarily work whenever you have multiple contributors. Whenever, some people, they may own like this slice of the code over here, and you own these slices over here, and people, they leave the project, and now you've got to maintain their stuff, and like it just kind of doesn't work. So, like, a big thing that I'm on is like, obviously I'm a maintainer of this project, like in an open source capacity, and like I'm basically the sysadmin at this point because I'm doing all the like deployments and the releases and all that kind of stuff too, and I'm making sure that our servers aren't on fire and everything's fine. So what that means effectively is, let's say that you have an idea for a feature you want to build and you open a pull request for it. Me hitting approve on that pull request is more than just me saying that, yeah, this code looks good. It's me saying that not only does the code look good, I'm willing to take this, I'm willing to deploy it to production and put it in front of people, and I'm willing to fix it when something goes wrong. It's me putting my stamp of approval on something that it's like me saying, yes, I will maintain this.
You're sticking your neck out for it.
You may just disappear, and now it's my problem.
Right.
That is very normal in open source, and it's happened before I got involved in RetroAchievements. This happened numerous times in RA's history, where like somebody would see, hey man, code's open source, hey, this would be cool, and they open pull request, this feature would be neat, and it's in the code, it's deployed, and then
they dip.
They're never heard from again. And now, like, you're stuck with this. You have to maintain this. So one of the things that I've sort of enacted is, all right, you're going to need to, like, prove that this actually works before we'll even look at it. Like, and what that means is, like, can you write some kind of automated test that, like, verifies this functionality? Like, if you have a test that clicks this button, does it do what your test says it should do? And twice as much work to write the tests. But like, if you're not going to write that test, then in good like I have a responsibility to not accept it.
You're basically safeguarding the website.
Right. Because like I could disappear. It could happen. Hey man, who knows?
Right. Car
I don't know
accident,
what the future
God
holds.
knows. We don't want it, but it could happen.
Like being totally level with you, there will come a day that for whatever reason, life circumstances change.
You've got to step away.
I'm going to have to step away from this project, and I'm very conscious of that. Like, I'm very conscious, like, whenever I'm writing code, that the people who are reading this in the future may not even be members of the website right now.
Right.
And it's really, like, these tests are they're to keep my sanity.
It's future-proofing.
Whenever somebody eventually takes over the reins, like, oh, I didn't know that me changing this would have broken that way over here. Oh, good thing there was a test that told me. That's all there and baked in now. So I think, like, our new game page has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tests. Literally every single line of code in there has a test covering it. And that makes sense. It's the most important page. Right. Pretty much every new feature that we're building out, that's kind of what I'm shooting for, is every single line, there should be some automated test that proves that it works. And that really has helped a lot, like whenever I started doing the deploys, whenever we had a lot more of this legacy code, each release, like we'd chip away just a little bit more. Whenever there was still just a mountain of it, man, I'd be so nervous on every deploy. It literally was like, all right, strap in, guys, here we go. And I would press the button, and then it's just, all right, let's watch the server logs and see what dies. Every time. Yeah, just watch the logs and see what dies. Man, that is not a winning strategy.
Right.
That is not going to work at the scale that we're at anymore. So now, honestly, man, our releases are really stable. Like, I can hit deploy and go get a drink or something.
I would agree. Like every time I see a community news for the RA web being updated, it's completely seamless. People would have zero idea unless you threw that announcement out there until they discovered the new features that were deployed.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time we had a release that, because it has happened. I can't remember the last one we had where it was like deploy and then bam, like half the site's broken. Like, oh my God, like this is on fire. Drop everything and fix it. And you have people like panicking in the Discord. This has all happened.
Oh, but I have been there.
It doesn't happen anymore.
No,
that's the thing. Like, it's very, very stable, and that's what I like want to have. Obviously, like It's a good problem to have, that I can ship thousands of lines of code
and then walk away.
Unless I put out like a notice, nobody would even know, and that's because like there's just no disruption. It definitely has not always been that way.
No, and I would say that's beautiful execution. Moving on to things that, because you've gotten so smooth, I've seen you discussing certain other site features that, may be very far down the road, depending on how the server handles itself.
Okay.
But it was along the lines of customization. for a profile.
Wow, okay.
So, not to put you on the spot here, but what were you picturing? What does that look like? Is that just a beautiful, fanciful thinking, or is that something we could latch on to?
So, I guess what I would say, I can only speak more abstractly on this right now. I think you're going to hear a lot more about this later in the year. And I only say that just because, we just got done having this big conversation about achievement set plans. And frankly, for the health of the platform, I think that has to take priority.
Yes.
But putting that aside, user profiles is obviously something that people have a great deal of personal attachment to. And I've always thought that that's kind of ironic because it isn't very personal. You really don't have a lot of control over what's on your profile. You have all these stats. Some of them you may care about. Some of them you probably don't. And what's funny is different people care about different things. Some of them deeply so. It's a wall of information. And most people are really attached to a fraction of it. And those are the bits that they probably want to emphasize. And really what I would like to see for that page is I would like to empower people to emphasize the things that they want to emphasize, de-emphasize the things that they don't, and just generally give people more personalized control to better express themselves and how they use RA on their profile. Because, the fact of the matter is, and it's a big problem. It's a good problem to have, but it's a big problem. We have a lot of different audiences on RA. There are some people who, yeah, man, I gotta master literally everything I play, and that's what I live for. That's what I eat and breathe, and that's just the end all be all, and deal with it. That's one camp, and that was the largest camp for a long time.
Oh yeah.
We have another camp that, hey man, this is like an electronic automated backlog. This is my backloggery replacement. It's just going to track the games I play and how long I play them because we
I'm
track
hanging
playtime
out here,
now.
and if I get achievements,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
I'm getting points, and I'm meeting like-minded people, and I'm beating games, and that's cool. That's a huge camp now. We have other people who, I'm not going to play the games. I'm going to play the website, and I have a lot of fun doing that. Like, I'm going to help curate our hubs, and I'm going to do all this other stuff. And
If you remember back in the 2023 episode, we agreed to call that "We Have Fun Playing the RA Game" rather than playing games at RA.
That's right, and that resonated with me a lot. I thought a lot about that because it's very true. You may have fun being a playtester or contributing in other ways, like art. That is a thing, and that's great. So I guess my point is we have a lot of different audiences, and people, come to RA for all these different reasons, but we only have one profile presentation. And I think changing that would probably be a positive thing.
What does that look like?
Well, I can't answer that. I can only I can only speak more abstractly, which is I would like to give you the tools to where your profile can better represent you and how you approach the site.
We'll play it vague.
That's
all right.
That's the goal, and I don't know what that looks like, but that's what I want to give you.
Just throwing out some early ideas, something that would be cool is, hey, maybe you can add those beaten screenshots to your portfolio of things you can use as a background or otherwise different aspects.
Maybe. Wow, that would be neat. Or imagine a world where you beat a game and you could use the banner of that game on your profile.
Exactly. Something where it's like X accomplishment equals Y use case. Like I think that would go a long way, but I'm sure that would be a bitch to go.
I don't think it'd be that bad, but I again sort of want to say that right now this is sort of still in a conceptual phase,
Sure.
and all I really know is the end result, which is your profile should be a sort of a personal representation of you and your time on RA, and I think that right now we kind of missed the mark and we could do better.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Wes, I could keep speaking to you for hours. We're going on 2 hours at this point. Just kind of tying it up. Something I asked to every guest, and I've asked you once before, but we have a lot more experience under our belts. If you could say something to the average player like myself to the developer and to the newcomer of the website, what is something you would want to convey to each of those three games?
I think I can say one thing that sort of speaks to all those groups simultaneously.
All right.
Which it may be very similar to the thing I said last time I was here. I really think that RetroAchievements, there's still a lot of fun left to be had, and the best days of the site are still sort of in front of us. I think there's a great vision in place for where the whole team wants to take this thing, and only a fraction of it has even been realized yet. And look at what we already have, produced so far. Look at our community so far with just the fraction of that vision already being in place. So, if you're an active community member, if you're an active developer, look at all the progress that we've made just over the last 18 months, and imagine the kinds of things that will get done over the next 18 months. It's kind of mind-boggling. We've done things in the last year that people said would never get done. People said that multi-set would never happen, and now it's just another thing that kind of gets taken for granted. That's kind of wild. It won't be the last time something of that magnitude occurs. And I would say for new community members who are just now getting involved, it's a really big tent. But as you're getting involved with RetroAchievements, just remember that this is a community that's built by people who came in who are just like you where you're at now. Like every single page that you go to on this website, you can see is just oozing with community contribution. Everything that you look at on the site is community generated. There is no company or corporation behind any of this. You can really make the site what you want it to be. And so if there's something that you would like to change, that's well within the realm of possibility in your power. You just have to get your hands dirty and get involved, and we would welcome that.
I think that's a fantastic message to echo, and I believe, like you said yourself, you are echoing the sentiment you gave in the first episode that you were on, just with a little bit more emotion and experience behind it. You've been here a little bit longer. It may sound funny, but it's absolutely true.
I have some battle scars.
Exactly.
More battle scars.
and sorry to tell you, buddy, you're going to get a couple more.
I'm afraid I will.
Yes.
Yeah. Now though, I'm much more callous on whenever I dunk on people and tell them they're wrong. I'm not afraid of that so much anymore.
Good. You have to be willing to stand your ground.
If you went through my Reddit posts, you've probably seen some raw stuff.
I saw some things. I was being kind to you on the episode. No, but Wes, it was fantastic to have you here. This is something we got to do, hopefully, a little bit more often than every 3 years. Come on, bud. But maybe
has it really been that long?
It has 3 years. So maybe you get with me for a State of the Union once a year. That was the original plan we had. But I think that would be a great thing. It catches people up. People love to hear from you. You're an amazing figure. You do fantastic things for the website. We wouldn't be where we are without you.
Okay.
So I know I'm just I know I'm just one dude, but you're uncomfortable with compliments, but you're gonna sit there and take it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you very much for your kind words.
Yes. That being said, guys, we're going to get out of here. Listener mail, send it into retroachievementspodcast@gmail.com, and we will see you all next time.